Well, hey everybody. Long time no see, long time no stream. Because I was in Japan on my bachelor trip with my good buddy Aaron over at With a Terrible Fate. And you might be recognizing that this is a weird time for me to be streaming, but I have been fighting jet lag like crazy and haven't really been able to sleep in a way that I would like to. So I figured, why not come back to stream with something really special? Namely, Pocket Monsters Green. That's right, Midori. So this is really interesting and really special because when I was in Japan, I bought a bunch of old Pokemon games, and I was worried that I wouldn't be able to play them. But then I found this amazing thing called the Retro Freak, and it's like kind of like Retron, like those basically games that can play. Those systems that can play old school games in HD. And this one is really cool because it actually plays Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. So I've got the very first Pokemon game here, and I was really excited to find it. I just want to say, the Japanese are so much more careful with their games. So I don't know about you. Hey Random, good to see you. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. I think this is maybe the first time I'm streaming where it's like a normal hour for you, hopefully. But I found all of these great old copies of these Pokemon games, and you can see the condition is fantastic. The cardboard box exists, which is crazy, because I don't know anybody in the States, or Random in the UK maybe, who kept these Game Boy boxes or Game Boy Advance boxes. But you go to Japan and you can find these in really good condition for really fair prices. And I was really happy to find this because not only did it come with the cartridge, but it came with the booklet and the town map, which is so special, and I'm just so pleased to have this. It's a piece of Pokemon history, and I've never played Pokemon Green. So I figured, as I'm fighting jet lag back from the Japan trip, I would pop on some Pokemon Green and just kind of, have a chill time. The nice thing is, I've played Pokemon Red and Blue a billion times, so it's not like we're treading new ground here. But the cool thing is, I know that this game is different, because this is almost like the beta version of Pokemon Red and Blue. So, brief history, Pokemon Green came out first with Pokemon Red. That's why we got Fire Red and Leaf Green, because these were the first two. Pokemon Blue was a game that came out in the West, and then Japan got it afterwards as kind of like a redux of the Pokemon games they were used to. And what I think is so cool about that is that it reminds me of like Final Fantasy International versions or Kingdom Hearts Final Mixes, where the Japanese will get one version, then the West will get a different version with some updated stuff, and then the Japanese will get a second version with all of the stuff that was added to the West, but with some new stuff on top of that. So, enough chat. I want to just kind of get started. And I'm going to preface this by saying this is going to be different from the Scarlet and Violet streams because this Retro Freak console has a fast forward option. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up my team, and I'm not going to use any cheats because I want to play it normally. I don't even think I'm going to do the missing no cheat, which I know still works in Green. I'm pretty sure anyway, that's what I've read. But I'm not going to do any of that. Instead, what I'm going to do is basically power level with fast forwarding. So there's going to be moments where the music cuts out, because that's how the Retro Freak kind of takes the fast forwarding through, but it'll be really nice. And really, what I want to do is just kind of lazily kind of go through this game. I really want to see all the sprites that we're seeing on screen because they're very different. And I just want to see how much of the Japanese I understand, and kind of take it from there. But really excited. And I just want to say, too, it's so funny to see this because it looks like a ROM hack. And it's so funny to say that about, like, the first Pokemon game, but it's true. And, you know, all these sprites look different. It's funny to see, you know, red sprite there kind of looking strange. So we're going to get started. Click on Onyx there and see how we go. Okay, so we want a new game. They have. I mean, I was playing... Here's the thing, Random. So I haven't played through the epilogue of Violet yet because I'm trying to get as much of the Pokedex complete as possible. So once I'm back on a normal sleep schedule, I'll go back to that and finish it on stream. So I don't know what happens in the epilogue. Don't tell me anything. But I'll be sure to do that. But I was playing Pokemon Blue earlier because I got that as well. Not in Japanese, in English. I was lucky enough to find one with like a battery that works. But it was just very nostalgic and very cool to see how far things came, and it's so funny how, you know, now we focus on like IVs and EVs, and like these games are so simple. Like every Pokemon of that type has the same stats and the same stat like totals. So really, like, you know, one Pokemon is not different from another, which I think is kind of cool. So, name again. Let's see. Taking a break from the Switch. I'm glad that you're, is your save file still working, though? I'm glad that you were able to kind of retrieve that, because I know that was a bummer for a while before I left. Yeah, there we go. Again. That's a good question, Richard. Also, hi. It's funny that you're up. I'm imagining you must be working, but it's funny to see you. Good to see you too. My jet lag trip back from Japan, but I don't know. But I'm really keen to find out. I think it works like Red does because it was Red and Green in Japan, so I imagine the Pokemon in this are going to be very similar to Blues. So I think probably around like 120 without trading. So that'll be kind of fun. Well, let's call him Satoshi. That's cute. Always up and cool. Oh yeah, smart Random. Don't want to have that happen again. Alright. Oh, that's the same. So this is going to be a testament to my Japanese skills, because while I was in Japan, I was complimented fairly frequently, actually, much to my happiness, about my Japanese skills. It was really nice because I hadn't really spoken it that much in like almost 10 years, and I just kind of slipped right back into it like an old pair of shoes. And that said, my reading comprehension has gone down the toilet, so luckily this game is meant for children, so most of it is written, you can see, I'm pointing at the screen like you can see me point at the screen. Most of it is written, there's no kanji from what I can tell. So kanji is the difficult part of the language. And so this is all katakana and hiragana. So the best way to describe it is like if it was all written like in kindergarten English for the most part. I think that's probably the easiest way to read it. But the difficult thing is that without the kanji, it's sometimes hard to figure out what word is actually being said. So you have to use context clues to kind of figure it out. Man, look at his sprite. No, we're gonna get Bulbasaur because this is green. I know that, so this is fun. So your language skills a compliment. I said bonjour to a Spanish person in my college. I take your auntie and I raise you, choosing wisely when to speak English and when to reveal that I could speak Japanese in Japan. So that's Hitokage. That's Charmander's Japanese name. This is Zenigame, Squirtle. And we're gonna get Fushigi Dane, Bulbasaur. So Richard, you were asking me, I can't remember if it was on stream or if it was in DMs, but you were asking me about like a retro system. So I'm playing this on this thing called the Retro Freak that I got in Japan, and it's awesome. It's basically like, it's like those Retron systems, but it has more options. So like, I think there's like, I think the Retron 5 can play Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, but I'm really enjoying this thing. I was playing Pokemon Blue on it earlier, which is really cool. Oh, is that true? Well, that makes sense because Mugen means infinity in Japanese. So eternitus, right? Like infinite in eternity. So that's pretty cool. I didn't. Oh, now I want to know his. Hang on, I'm gonna look up his name. Because now I'm curious. All right, let's see. We'll go ahead and we'll turbo through this, which is one of the coolest things that this thing can do. Now the question is, seems harder. Okay, so here's a fun thing about Japanese games. They're either way harder or way easier. There's no in between. So a really funny example of that. Oh no, he beat me. Wow. A really funny example of that is Mega Man 2. So Mega Man 2 was released in Japan with one difficulty level. That was it. It was just the game. And then we got it, and we had easy mode and hard mode. Hard mode was the one Japanese mode, and easy mode was the dumbed-down Western version that we got. So you never quite know what you're getting, and I think that it's always fun to see, are things going to be more difficult or are they going to be easier? And a fun story about that, so when we were leaving Japan, Aaron and I were approached by a Japanese TV channel called TV Asahi, and they wanted to interview us for like what do foreigners buy in Japan. And so they got a good group of guys with us because we were loaded up with video games and video game paraphernalia and all that good stuff. So we were talking to them, and at one point Aaron had shared, he bought a copy of Majora's Mask, obviously because With a Terrible Fate started with Majora's Mask, and we found a copy of it, and he was really psyched, and so he picked it up. And it was really funny because the Japanese TV producers, they were basically like, you know, they looked at that game and they're like, oh, muzukashi ne, like, oh, that's hard, isn't it? That's really difficult, isn't it? And it was funny to hear them say that because I don't know that I've ever heard that Majora's Mask is like a difficult game. Maybe like a stressful game, but it was funny to hear them talk about how it was like difficult. It was harder than Ocarina of Time. So you never quite know what you're going to get. And so far, things seem to be on par with blue version here. It was just that old... speaking of blue kicked my ass here, so... Richard, you have the Retron 5 and it does GB in advance, which is basically why I got it. Yeah. Chain of Memories and Golden Sun, two fantastic games. Golden Sun, it seems like is finally coming to the Nintendo Switch Online, but I mean, I think I'd rather play it on this if I can get a copy of it. So, yeah, I looked it up too. Random Mugen Dina, right? I don't know what the Dina is. Oh no, it's Mugen Dina. Mugen Dina. So like Dynamax, right? Like dinosaur, Dynamax. So Eternatus in Japanese is like Infinite Dynamax, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I think probably Dinosaur, Dynamax, because Dynamax is the same in Japanese. Dynamaxu. So that's pretty awesome. I didn't know that about him. I thought it was just Eternatus. Eternatus would have been my guess, but that's much cooler. All right. So you can see this system has this awesome... really, it's good for, like, grinding. I just wish that it played the music, but that's okay. We're going to go with my tried and true... well, actually, that's sort of true. We're going to go with basically my tried and true method of grinding, where we're going to go to... we're going to cycle out the levels. But I'm going to be deliberate in the Pokemon I'm catching. So I want to build, like, the strongest team, which is very easy to do in these older games. You basically just, pick a handful of them with the high stats and balance out your team dynamic that way. So I'm assuming I can get Nidoran, and I'm going to do that and start grinding him so that we can get Nidoking quickly. And then the next one after that is going to be taking up the deal for the Magikarp from the shyster who sells it for 500 gold. If only I had Bidoof. I love Bidoof. Unironically, I really enjoy that Pokemon. I love how stupid it is. Oh, that's interesting. Hang on, Alright, this is going to be the very lame stuff that I'm interested in. Look, it's not a Pokemart, it's a shop. It's fun. Pokemon... Let's see. Guska. Ippai. Friendly shop. Friendly shop. We have lots of Pokemon items. I just wanted to get the music back in there while I had some commentary, although now that we're heading back to the prof. So one of the cool things about this gen, and I imagine it's true for Pokemon Green, we're going to find out, is Bulbasaur, Venusaur specifically, there's this really interesting glitch that I don't quite know how it works. I was trying to look it up to kind of get a sense of what it is that's happening. But there's this glitch where if you know what? Let's actually look it up. I'm going to turn the music back on. Let's look it up, because there's a fun thing where you basically you keep Leech Seed and then you teach it Toxic after you get the TM from the Fuchsia City Gym from Koga. And I'm going to turn my keyboard on here. What happens is, like, there's this weird glitch where it multiplies the two attacks, like it stacks them in this weird way. And I'm not sure how it works exactly, but I want to find out, so let's see. The keyboard's not working. Probably have to charge it. I've been out of the country for a month. That's probably wise. Let's put this over here. We'll just use the laptop. Okay. So, Bulbasaur, Toxic, Leech Seed. Toxic and Leech Seed glitch. How does it work? So, Poison and Leech use the same variable for the same multiplier, and since Toxic makes this variable increase, Leech is also affected by it, thus doing massive damage. The damage done from Leech Seed, half of it heals you, and when it's doing huge amounts of damage each turn due to the glitch, it will also heal you nearly completely. So, if I understand correctly, it's basically this thing where you have, like, you get Leech Seed going, and then you hit the, it works with Poison Powder too, right? So, you hit it with Poison, or in this case, Toxic, which doubles the poison effect and the poison damage. And then somehow the game reads Toxic as, like, stacking the effect of Leech Seed. So then when Leech Seed comes back to you, it heals you for, like, 8 times as much or something crazy. It does as much damage and then heals you just as much, which is kind of nuts. So I've never done that, and I remember hearing about it on Oni Plays. So shout out to Ding Dong and Julian, who made me aware of this glitch. And then I had to look it up. Ivysaur is bipedal in this, right? Yeah, he's, if it's the same sprite as Blue, then absolutely. Oh, shoot. I didn't buy any Pokeballs. That would help when I'm trying to catch Pokemon. Oh, I haven't gone back to Oak yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. This jet lag is killing me. Kind of unrelated to the Pokemon, but do you have any secret hacks for learning Japanese? I'm hoping to be fluent by the time I'm 40. Plenty of time, but I'm impatient. No, you can definitely do it. Honestly, so a couple of things. One, find, like, any kind of language learning software that gives you structure. So, like, Duolingo is good to start, but if you can find, like Rosetta Stone is way better, and obviously there's a cost with Rosetta Stone, but it's worth it, especially if you're serious about it, because it just kind of keeps you on track, especially if you don't have, like, a teacher. Realistically, like, the best thing to do would be to take classes, but obviously that's not available depending on where we live in the States. Like, I don't think there's anybody teaching classes in Texas, so not anywhere near me. So Rosetta Stone's great. Duolingo is good because it, Duo will come to your house and maim you if you don't keep up with it. But structure is really important. Outside of the structure, no joke, like, playing games in Japanese and watching anime or Japanese movies in Japanese with subtitles is really good just to hear it. Listening to music, too. That is very helpful. Like, people, it sounds like kind of silly, but it's true. And it goes both ways, because when I was in Japan this time, when I stayed in Kamakura, there was a really amazing concierge at the hotel that we were staying at. He's a Japanese guy. He was probably, I think he was 65, he said. Oh, that's a fun sprite. He was 65, and... Oh, no, he was older than that. He's younger than that. He was born in 65. And he said that his English was really perfect. He only had a little bit of an accent, but he spoke really fluently, which is strange over there. A lot of people have a little bit of English, but they will be the first to tell you that they're not very good at it. So he was really good, and he was saying like he grew up watching American movies. He grew up listening to English music, and it just kind of gave him the cadence and the pronunciation. And I chalk up the compliments that I got this time around because I haven't kept up with school, but I've kept up with listening to anime and music and video games and stuff like that. So that's the big thing, is just kind of familiarize yourself with it, get some structure, and then as hard as it is, genuinely like learning kanji, learning the written language is really helpful. And the old adage when it comes to learning it is weird. Where am I? Oh, did I not buy? Oh, I didn't go back to the Pokemon Mart. Man, I'm on autopilot. The old adage is like the first 300 kanji that you learn, which sounds like a lot, but it's not that bad. The first 300 kanji that you learn are really difficult, but it gets like exponentially easier after that. And what's great is that you can learn a lot of nuance, learn a lot of context. It just really bolsters how you learn Japanese. So I think like speaking of structure, there's a ton of books like Beginner's Kanji. You can just find it on Amazon. What I would recommend is get a book like that, get a notebook, and the easiest thing to do is just write it over and over again. It's a really good way to familiarize yourself with it and just get comfortable with the language. So that's my spiel. And thank you, Random, for your compliments. Maybe I'll set it up. Thanks. I've been dabbling with Duolingo and listening to an audiobook by Paul Noble. Watching old Japanese movies has definitely helped due to just hearing it. Yeah, absolutely. The cool thing about movies, too, is that you get, like, you get a ton of exposure to different ways that people speak. So not just, like, dialects and, like, different accents, for lack of a better word, but you get, like, different, like, the different honorific levels, right? Like, if a samurai is talking to a higher... like their master, they're going to speak differently than when the master is speaking to them, right? Or my favorite stuff is like you can pay attention to I was listening to I put on a video, but I was listening to it. It's the scene from Dragon Ball Super where Roshi, Muten Roshi-sama, uses his final Kamehameha in the Tournament of Power, which sounds like he dies, but he doesn't because Goku saves him. And if you listen to like Master Roshi in Japanese, he's a very, very old man. So instead of ending his sentences with des or da, which is like how I would do it, right, or you or I would do it, he ends things with ja, which is a contraction of dewa, which is like this, it's like a strictly old person thing. So it's fun to hear things like that. And if you watch old Japanese movies or modern Japanese movies too, you'll get a sense of like different honorifics and how different people talk. So it's a lot of fun. And I agree, work and dedication is a scam. That's why it's better to coast where you can. So far, let me save here. That's fun. It's called report instead of save. So far, lots of similarities. Just the, here's a fun thing. So it's not like Poke or like Polka dollars or whatever we're calling it. It's literally yen. That's the symbol for yen. So more more proof that the first generation taking place in the Kanto region is just meant to be Japan. The game is quite green. I'm cool with that. So, let's see. Synto animation. Nope, I don't want those. Don't want those. We're going to be very boring, and we're going to turn off all the things that slow us down. But that's fine. Fun fact about the word green that's used here, midori. Midori is very specifically green. But the word for blue that we think of, aoi, right? We usually translate that as blue, but it can also mean green. Like, think about the ocean, right? It's the color of the ocean. So sometimes we look at the ocean and we think it's pretty blue, but then other days kind of got that green tint to it. So Pokemon Aoi version is technically blue-green, but this one is Midori, which is very clearly green. This is the age-old philosophical question, Random. It's, what color is the ocean is a good way to figure out how different we are, because here's a fun thing. So that's how the blue or brown. Okay, so that's how the Japanese see it, right? The ancient Greeks, if you read like a written version of the Odyssey or the Iliad by Homer, Homer says that the ocean is wine-colored. Like, we would think red, right? Like, that's weird. I've never seen an ocean look like that, but who knows what their perception was of that color. So, I never quite know. But, Richard, you'll know this. The forest at the base of Mount Fuji, which is famous for something not very nice, is called Aokigahara. Aokigahara, which literally means the sea of green trees, the forest of green trees. Ao, short for aoi, being a descriptor for the color of the trees. So it's a situation where that kind of dense forest, when you're looking down at it or when you're looking straight on at it, looks a lot like an ocean, looks like a sea, right? Something you can kind of get lost in. It sure is random. Yep, that's the very one. It's crazy that that guy is still able to do anything. I mean, like, I'm not a big fan of totally removing somebody's career or, like, livelihood, but he should have gone away after that. I mean, that... Just go be like a, you know, go work at a bus company or something. It's crazy. I know. That's something that drives me nuts. The kind of what's a good way to put it? The that's a fun Spearow. Look at him. He's going nuts. He's coming after your bread. I think I cannot stand. Here's a cycle that drives me crazy, and I see it happening more and more, and it's really upsetting to me. Just grab a charger here for my headphones. But it's really upsetting to me, and it's basically. I have been there. Yeah, it's a haunting place, but it's very beautiful. I've climbed Mount Fuji. Aaron and I climbed it about 10 years ago when he came to visit me. He's still boxing and selling energy drinks. A loser. But something that drives me nuts is so I'm going to give you a scenario. So let's think into the future. The not too distant future, as the folks at Mystery Science Theater 3000 would say. Somewhere in time and space, where I am a massive streamer. You know, my streams, they kick off, I've got like, you know, I don't know, 10,000 concurrent viewers. And it gets to my head, right? And I start thinking, okay, I'm popular for a reason. People must like what I have to say. It must mean that I am right in what I say. And then I do something heinous. I do something horrendous. Who knows what it is, right? Pick your poison, right? Something awful where I hurt somebody, either mentally or physically, right? Then I apologize, and I get all of the benefits of the algorithm boost for people talking to me. I kick a child. Perfect. Yep. So I kick a kid. I kick a kid like into a pit somewhere. I find a pit with spikes in it, and I kick a kid in there. And he lives, but you know, he's got a bum leg afterwards, right? Perfect example. So I do that. I get all of the media blitz, you know. Mugen kicked a kid into a pit. Kid speaks out, you know, was a huge fan of Mugen, feels betrayed. Like all of this, the whole media cycle happens. Then I kind of go quiet for a little bit, and I come back and I do a big apology video or a big apology stream. And I say the words, I'm going to take accountability for what I've done. But I don't take accountability. I don't change. I don't get better. I don't do any self-reflection. I don't change anything about my life that made me kick the kid into the pit. Okay? I don't magically heal the child. That's right. I don't pay for his medical bills. Or maybe I do. Maybe I do pay for his medical bills. And, you know, people see that as a gesture of kindness, even though I'm the one who kicked him into a pit. Now, not only have I gotten the bump in popularity from all of the media blitz talking about me, but I get the fake social credit of the apology, where people think that I've changed. People think that I've done something right, when really I haven't done anything. I just covered my butt, and I come back, people think I'm different, and then guess what? A couple months later, I kick another kid into a pit. And, you know, everybody who watches me, all the 10,000 concurrent viewers, they feel duped. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they start to think, and this is even worse, maybe they start to think, you know what? I think that second kid deserved it. You know, Mugen actually said that the first kid, like, that's something he shouldn't have done, but then he learned from his mistakes and he kicked that other kid into the pit. Like, that kid probably deserved to be kicked into that pit. And the cycle continues in this insidious, awful parasocial relationship, and it drives me crazy to see this, because it happens all over the place. Like, I was watching YouTube today. It happened to somebody who I don't have a lot of love for, and you know, this is a guy who, I'm not going to name names, but he has made wild accusations under the guise of doing something like productive and right for people, and kind of using that as a shield, and then he gets something wrong, and that has disastrous consequences for the person he's accusing. And there's just like trial by popularity, where that person who's been accused has to drastically change their life or pick up the pieces, and then the guy who did the accusing gets away with it, takes accountability, quote unquote, and does it again in a few months. And it just is maddening to me. It's really frustrating. So show me in a law book where it says it's illegal to kick a kid into a pit with spikes. Is that like an Air Bud movie? Like, technically it's not in the rule book. You know, shouldn't kick a kid, shouldn't put anybody into a pit of spikes, but doesn't say anything about mingling the two. So anyway, that's my rant for what I had been unfortunately seeing on my trip, but also just like in general. I see it like every couple of months, and it drives me nuts. All of that to say, I have no love for Mr. Paul. Much darker Air Bud movie. Be a fun legal procedural, though. Like the scumbag lawyer who's trying to get it would be it would be Jimmy McGill. Saul Goodman would do it. Your Honor, I'm not seeing anything about how this is illegal. Immoral maybe, but not illegal. It's never happened before. We're in dangerous territory where we're going to be setting precedent for anybody who wants to kick a kid into a pit of spikes. And I don't know if I want to be that lawyer. We got to stop these dogs kicking our kids into pits. Why have we let it go on so long? That's the real question. How could we have done this? Alright, what am I doing? Alright, we'll go up here. We're on the road to Viridian... Oh no, we're passing Viridian City. We're on the road out of Viridian City. It's hideous. I can't look away. Alright, we should have Vine Whip by now. Yep. Uru no Matsu. Or Mutsu. Cool. Take that, Pidgey. You gotta love the Pokemon that are just like a bird. I like Pidove. Pidove is alright. Pidove, Pidgey, they're good. Flamigo rubs me the wrong way. But, you know, maybe I'm developing a soft spot for it because it is Larry's ace Pokemon in the end game, so give it some grace for being loved by Larry. I love Fletchling. Fletchling's awesome. Also, the best, Talonflame rocks and is just like the best Pokemon to have in your party if you're trying to hatch eggs. Which makes a lot of sense. Firebird, if you think about it. If you really think about it. Chandelure is cool. What's my favorite designed one? I mean, I love Gengar so much. I bought a bunch of Gengar stuff. I went to the Pokemon Center in Tokyo, and I just like cleaned them out of Gengar stuff. So I actually... my coffee is in this lovely Gengar mug. And it says Gengar on it because, as I've explained before, his name comes from Doppelganger. So I have that. Excuse me. I bought a plushie of Gengar sleeping, which is super cute. Ton of stuff. Ton of stickers. Got a phone case. All kinds of good stuff. Did you see that scandal thing that Toei Animation didn't preserve? Yes, I did. Yeah, old... the skies in DBZ weren't supposed to be that green color. Sailor Moon wasn't supposed to have that pink hue. You know, it's so funny that, like, why did they say anything? Because it's such a stylistic choice. Or, I mean, it appears to be one. Like, it fits for both, because I know, like, especially when you get to Namek, like, green skies and DBZ, like, perfect. And then Sailor Moon having a pink hue, I mean, kind of can't ask for a better color palette than that. So it's funny that, like, their mistake on preservation basically just, you know, set the tone for those two shows. No, I agree. I mean, sometimes nostalgia has its purpose, you know? I mean, I don't know. If you ask me, like, that's the right way to look at those. So, Alright. Bought 15-pound worth of dog toys yesterday to make a movie with them. I'm going to throw squirrels at people in slow motion to get stuff, and my friend is going to fight dog toys in the middle of the field. When it's done, I'll have to send it. Yes, please do. That sounds awesome. Is that for, I think we were talking about it before I left. Is that for, like an assignment, or is that just for fun? I mean, I guess both can be true. It sounds pretty fun. For college, yeah. Very good. Alright, he still says the light year thing. I guess I knew that in Japanese. Alright, we're getting there. You know what? I think it would be fun to evolve before we fight Brock. His name's not Brock, though. That's right. Okay, we're gonna get to see all of their Japanese names. I think it's Takeshi. We'll find out. Don't be so sure. Sometimes no-budget horror is the mother of invention. Sometimes you can get some really good stuff with just a camera and some lighting. Did everyone choose horror? Or was it like originally a horror assignment? Because I guess I could see, like, I would have chosen horror. It's fun to do horror movies. Oh, he's not by Pete. Look at him. Oh, they changed it for, I love him. Excellent. That rocks. Alright, and we're going to turn the music back on. 俺の硬い石は俺のポケモンにも現れる。硬くて我慢強い。そう。使うのは岩タイプばかりだ。ふわぁ。儲けると分かってて戦うから。ポケモントレーナーの差がだな。いいだろ。Oh, here we go. Yeah, he does. Like flattened in one of the later games. Poor Ivysaur. Geodude. Hey, what's up, guys? What's his name here? It's Ishitsu Dute? Beat Will Long the other day. What did I think of it? I haven't beaten it yet. I got about halfway through before I went to Japan. And I agree. I think it was harder at the beginning because I had to train myself not to think of it like Neo. What I found was that I also played Neo for like a total of 800 hours, like Neo and Neo 2. What I found was it reminded me a lot of when I played Bloodborne after playing Dark Souls forever, having to kind of get over the hump of like, oh, this doesn't play like Dark Souls. So that was interesting. Or like it's kind of like Dark Souls, but you know, there's enough different that if you think of it like Dark Souls, you're gonna have a rough time. So I think I was in that headspace where I was thinking it was going to be exactly like Neo, and it took me a while to get back to it. So I actually took a break from it and then came back, and I found it way easier to just start without that idea. Alright. I'm feeling pretty good about this run so far. It's funny, because if you go into it with the idea of, like, not having too many Pokemon, it gets so much easier to level everything up and kind of just fly through the game because you're just focusing on one at a time. And far fewer of them. I did get around to Lies of P. I really liked it. Speaking of Bloodborne, did you play it? Because I had a really good time with it. I actually have to go and finish the other endings on it because I only did 2 of them, I think. But yeah, I thought it was really cool, and I thought it was maybe the first Souls-like other than Neo that I thought like did something really interesting and cool. And oh my God, Ekans, what did they do to my boy? What did they do to my boy? Oh no. His name is just Abel. That's funny. Oh, he's using rap. I love that sprite. I love him. My boy. My poor snaky boy. Do I have... Yes, I have one. Okay. Beat it twice. It's one of the few games I felt like I was actually good at. Yeah, I thought... maybe this will make sense to you. I thought it was like... It was hard. It was difficult, but not in a way... It was like, I don't know a good way to put it. Like, it felt like it rewarded you a lot more than Bloodborne for like understanding how mechanics worked. And I thought that was really a nice touch, where it was like, it didn't make things easier, it just rewarded your skill a lot more. I thought that was cool. Not that Bloodborne doesn't do that, but I feel like it takes a long time for it to get there, so... Venture out into the wild. Sounds good. We'll have fun. And yeah, share it with the stream. That'd be a lot of fun to watch. But thanks for dropping by, and I'm looking forward to getting back on schedule here once I beat this jet lag. So we shall see. I don't want to switch. I'm going to do increments of 10. Pidgey's name is Pulpo, which I love. There were multiple bosses that were like, hey, you're doing okay, but remember, this is how you're supposed to be playing. Yes, I agree. Like the first, yeah, I actually, now that you say that, I feel like it did that a little bit. It was more forgiving, not in a easier way, but it was more like, I think it maybe it like teaches the player better. If I had to, I'll have to think about how I want to say that, I guess, but that's kind of where I'm coming from. I think that's true. Like that first boss, like the carnival puppet, or like the circus master puppet, really encourages you to like, hey, don't just Bloodborne this and try to like skill it alone. Like you're going to have to use like your arm, you're going to have to use the tools, you're going to have to use, it's kind of like Sekiro in that way, actually. Like, hey, you're going to have to use a lot of the things that we've shown you that you have, because otherwise, like, yeah, you could do it, but I don't know that it would be that fun for you. I feel like that's a bit different from FromSoft games, where it's like it encourages fun through the customization more so than like deeper skill that FromSoft does, because I think that's my biggest gripe with the difficulty curves in FromSoft games. A lot of the time is like, it's rewarding once you get better at it, but I feel like Lies of P is more like, hey, good job, like you got it, you know, you were listening to us when we told you what to do and how to like optimize things, whereas FromSoft is just like, oh, okay, you finally got it, like let's go on to the next thing. maybe that'll help you, but maybe not. Which, you know, swings and roundabouts, as they say. Also, it showed you what NPCs were where and which got neat. Yes, I love that. Hey, I'll take it, you know, especially like I was so invested in the story that I really appreciated, like, hey, you're going to find these people here. This is going to continue this story. Like, I just thought that was really well done. Oh. He's weird. But I love him. Alright, so now the old trick in these Pokemon games. You put Magikarp in first place, and then you just switch to your stronger Pokemon. Love the Mask Rascal element. Like, didn't exactly lay it out, but it was... Yeah, I like that too. I think what I liked most about it, and oh, there we go. I thought that it did like twists that I really appreciated, where it kept like tricking me. Like sometimes I would think, oh, I think Geppetto's like a good guy, and then I would be like, nah, he's being really weird. Like I feel like this is a like Garamond the Hunter kind of situation. But like 4 or 5 times he kept like tricking me into thinking he was a good guy or a bad guy. And I really liked the reveal at the end and what it says about him and like what he was doing to this town. Because he was so like laser focused on getting his son back that I thought that was a really cool way to tell the Pinocchio story. Have you seen the Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio, the animated one? Because I felt like they were in the same kind of league as adaptations go, which I thought was neat. All right, Magikarp. Oh, the original mascot. Who I now realize, of course we called it Clefairy because its Japanese name is Pee-Pee. So I think they probably didn't want to do that to a bunch of grade school kids. Yeah, I wonder... I mean, it was great for the story, but I wonder if it was part of that the original book, because I've never read it in like I don't know Italian, so I've never read the original, but I don't think GDT doesn't usually take like crazy liberties. Usually, like it's you know, he usually goes with things that are apparent in the source material, so who knows? I don't know. I thought it worked though, and I loved Christoph Waltz as La Volpe. That was great. So I think it's probably my favorite animated movie that I saw that year. And Ewan McGregor as Jiminy. That was pretty good too. Making Obi-Wan jokes the whole movie. But yeah, Lies of P I thought was great. I loved the two endings that I saw. You can probably guess which ones I did. Um, Want to go back and see some more, but I also got to go back and do the platinum on it. I haven't really played my PS5 in a while. Not for not for any reason other than I've just been kind of really stuck in the Poké world, which has been great. Yeah, Porco Rosso lays on the fascism pretty thick. But that's also a great movie. I love Porco Rosso. I feel like people sleep on that as a Ghibli film, and I really love it. Everybody always talks. I mean, I love Spirited Away too, but everybody always kind of talks about Howl's Moving Castle or like Ponyo. But Porco Rosso is a great movie. I mean, they're all good. I don't the Cat Returns is not so great as far as Ghibli movies go, but even that's not like abysmal. So I have not seen The Boy and the Heron yet, though, and I really want to because apparently Robat Battenbat has a great voice acting performance as the Heron. Top three Ghibli movies. I think I'd agree with you there. I'd probably put it as 3. Spirited Away is my number 1, and I think number 2 is I don't know. Porco Rosso might actually be number 2, because I love Princess Mononoke, but like I would rather watch Porco Rosso. So yeah, can't beat Willem Dafoe. I haven't seen any new movies lately. I'm trying to think of the last. Oh, I think the last new movie I saw was Godzilla -1, which rocked, of course. That's me. I'll show off. Yeah, I didn't watch any movies on the plane or anything, but luckily I was able to sleep on the plane, which actually I say luckily, but considering my sleep schedule right now, maybe not so lucky. You were crushed. Crushed like the poor bastards in Godzilla -1. I love this Geodude design. It's hilarious. I mean, definitely definitely worth it. I think probably I mean, you'd have more recent experience than me, but I would say like I speaking of top 3, I think it's probably top 3 for me. I really loved it. And it's great because, you know, I think so I have like 2 favorite kind of Godzilla movies. I have the serious ones and then I have the goofy ones. And the serious ones are always great when Godzilla is a metaphor for something. So obviously when he's a metaphor for nuclear war, or if he's a metaphor for like, I don't know, feeling like alienated or isolated, that's really good. And the other ones are the goofy, like just the beat 'em ups, like I gotta fight Mothra, I gotta fight Ghidorah, or you know, something awful is gonna happen to Tokyo, and I can't let that happen this time. But what I loved about Godzilla -1 is that I didn't realize until after I saw it, but it's Godzilla is really a great metaphor in it for survivor's guilt, and it being set right after the war of World War II, is such a great way to do that story, and it's brilliant. I did watch Barbie and Oppenheimer back to back recently. Good lord, that's long. I love that that's your takeaway, is that of those. Ah, man, I did that double feature, and boy, that sure did take longer than one movie. That's funny. Oh, Voltorb looks pissed. I love it. Nice. But yeah, I thought, yeah, the old sprites are a lot of fun. I thought, yeah, Godzilla minus one. I think max up. What's that for? HP? Let's see. Probably. I think. I'm trying to think of all the movies that I saw. Godzilla minus one might be my favorite movie that I saw last year in the theaters. Richard, did we talk about Talk to Me? Did you see that? I watched it, I think like a couple of months ago. I have some thoughts. Big fan of the 2000s era Godzilla movies. They have just enough cheesy and action to be fun. Godzilla against Mechagodzilla might be my favorite. Shin Godzilla, yeah. So I think I told you, like, I finally got around to seeing that, right? And man, that was a lot of fun. So excellent rec, unsurprisingly. It is very spooky. I think it's one of those horror movies that I feel like is like, I recognize that it's very good and I will never see it again. Not because it like affected me deeply, but I was just like, okay, you know, like, very good, very cool that was made the way that it was. Good for those Aussie weirdos, but that's like a one and doneer for me, I think. But I don't know if that's just because I'm a little. Oh, Oddish looks great. He's having a great time. He looks spooked too. Yeah, I don't know. I might be just being harsh on it, but you ever see a movie where you're like, okay, I recognize that this is really good, but I also, like, I get it. I get what they're doing, and I'm not super impressed. Like, got it. Thank you, you know? I think it's like, all right, for all that, that might be I may have been a victim to hype on that, because I saw the Papa Meat review before I watched it, and he was very laudatory of it, and like, you know, I thought it's fine. Again, won't see it again. Really, I liked it while I watched it, but won't be watching it again. Recently had that with Old Boy. Cool. Yeah, the original Old Boy. Because I feel like, you know what it is? I feel like some movies, it's like The Matrix, where it's like, it had such an effect on movies that came after it. You feel like you've kind of already seen it because you've seen movies that are referencing it or commentating on it. So, like, Old Boy is great, but so many movies have taken so many cues from Old Boy. Like, you almost feel like it's like, so Aaron and I always say that before he watched The Sopranos, there's our boy again. He's going nuts. Before he watched The Sopranos, I told him, like, you're going to watch The Sopranos and you're going to be like, oh, that's where everything I like comes from. And I feel like The Sopranos holds up as one of the best TV shows of all time. But, like, if you are a fan of Breaking Bad and then you go back to The Sopranos, you're like, oh, okay. I get it. they were kind of doing The Sopranos a little bit, you know, in certain circumstances. Um, but yeah, I think tough to get around that sometimes. Felt that way with Memento. Can we move this along? Felt that way with The Godfather. Just watched it, but honestly felt kind of, yeah, like movie homework is such a good way to describe it. Not all of them feel that way. Like I stand by, like Citizen Kane is an amazing uh, cinematic experience. Like it is really cool to watch Citizen Kane because I feel like you hear about it as a movie fan and then you watch it and you're like, wow, that's not what I thought it was at all. And I think that that's really cool. But yeah, movie homework. I'm trying to think of other movies that are like that. You know what? I'm gonna say this is a movie I like, but I also like I like it and I watch it probably like once every other year. But I do kind of feel like I do kind of feel like it is movie homework. The Shining. Like I love The Shining, but I also understand why some people are like, nah. Like kind of, yeah, I get it, because it just influenced so much that came after it. Like you kind of understand. I was in a spooky cave and then I left because I needed to heal up my Pokemons. But now back into the spooky cave. Stole that. I heard someone refer to Lord of the Rings and Wheel of Time as nerd homework. Yeah, that tracks. Yeah, that definitely tracks. uh, yeah, I love The Shining. I'm a huge fan of it. The movie and the book. And Doctor Sleep, for that matter. The movie and the book. But I. There will be times when a friend of mine will watch it and they'll kind of report back to me as if they're doing like a, you know, like a movie report that I assign them. And, you know, I'll be like, yep, I get it. Pretty good. You were forced to watch The Shining. Okay, this is kind of feeding into my theory about it being kind of homework. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Shining is, I mean, it's Kubrick. It is a masterpiece, but it doesn't hit everybody the same way. Especially if you, I feel like if you see it at the wrong time, um, like if you, I don't know, if you're in that kind of like phase of like, oh, I've seen a lot of movies, but you know, I think I kind of call it like the Kevin Smith on Star Wars phase. Like he explained that for a long time, and it seems crazy now, like based on who he is today. But for a long time, he was like, Star Wars is lame. I don't like it, you know. And it's just funny to think about that. But The Shining, I can totally see it being homework. One that I could not see again and be content. Citizen Kane is great. Yep. Also watched 12 Angry Men on a plane and thought it was great. Yeah, 12 Angry Men. Yeah. Yep. it's it's kind of like, you know, you feel kind of silly saying it, right? Where it's like Aaron and I have this joke where it's like, "Hey, I read Dante's Inferno. Pretty good." You know? Like, "Hey, that work of art that is considered a classic. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. I really got it, you know?" I feel like that's how I approach a lot of movies, especially a lot of like cinema classique. That's alright. Not everything is for everybody. Had that with Frankenstein. I read it and was like, oh my god, have you guys heard it? Yeah, I know, right? I did that in high school. I had the exact same thing. It reminds me of Bill Hader does this impression of Fred Armisen doing an impression of Bill Hader, and it's like, yeah, Fred always imitates me as if I'm just getting into a very famous band. Like, I'm just getting into a lot of Springsteen. Like, they're pretty good, you know. Just classic. Like, of course they're good, you know. Watched Jurassic Park last week because we needed to watch a bunch of films and then write an essay on them. So I just chose all Jurassic Park films and wrote the same thing for all the essays. That's kind of makes sense for Jurassic Park because a lot of what you can write is like, it happened again? Oh no. I'm in a bit of a pickle here. I don't think I have... I have a moonstone. That's not going to help me. Just go back to the start with my Magikarp. Or in Japanese, his name is Koi Kingu. Koi King. And we love him. Need to get to a specific place to get rescued. Yep. It happened again? That was always my favorite thing about the second Jurassic Park, is that, I guess this was true of the book too, that Michael Crichton wrote. It's like, oh, by the way, there's a second island, just so you know. Yeah, we didn't mention. I mean, obviously we didn't mention it, and why would we? You know, we had a lot going on the first island, so you know, Hammond wasn't just gonna up and admit to having another island full of dinosaurs. All right, let's level up Nito Ran. Try to get Nidoran and Gyarados at the same time here. For an attack up here too, actually. Much better. Are there any movies you love but are hesitant to recommend to people? Oh, sure. I gotta think of some. It's fun. Well, Richard, it's funny. The Sadness. That's not an easy one to recommend. I feel like you lucked out recommending that to me because, like, we were joking after you recommended it to me, like, I'm probably the one person on the planet who would have been like, hey man, thanks for that recommendation. Really loved it. You know? Yeah, it's, I mean, I love that movie, but I would not recommend it. Actually, that's not true. I recommended it to my grandmother because my grandmother is the one who got me into horror, and she loves gory movies. Like, the gorier the better. She loves foreign movies. So I was like, all right, you got to check out this movie, The Sadness. I'm not going to tell you anything else about it. Just call me when you're done. She's the only one I would recommend it to, though. Or maybe like to an enemy or somebody who I wanted to stop talking to me. Let me think, though. Oh, it's such a good question. I know I have some. Let me think. Set that recommendation and immediately thought, yeah, yeah. Because we like had just met at that point. We had just started talking through the podcast. Yeah, that was funny. But no, I was so excited to watch it. Oh, I'm asleep. There we go. Man, I'm just going through like movies that I've seen. There's movies that like to my fiance Maddie, like I'll be like, oh, you know, this is the kind of movie that you would watch with me, but you wouldn't like, or like you wouldn't get anything out of this movie. But then sometimes she'll surprise me. Like I thought it was going to be that way with Godzilla -1, but she loved it. She'd never seen a Godzilla movie or, you know, had any kind of inkling about that being something she'd be interested in. But yeah, let me think. I mean, like Tetsuo the Iron Man, probably. I wouldn't just casually recommend that to somebody unless it was someone like you, Richard. I think we already talked about it. Ichi the Killer, too. There's something about J-horror that... A lot of J-horror, actually. Like, if I don't know you're a horror fan, I'm not going to recommend any Japanese horror movies to you because there's something really visceral and gut-wrenching about a lot of them to me. Because I think, like, you said that you watched Onibaba, right? That's one I'd probably recommend, actually, because it's, you know, it's not Tetsuo the Iron Man. But it's an acquired taste, definitely. I think you have to be in the right mood or the right mindset to get something out of it. J-horror in general, I mean. I'm thinking of like a favorite movie of mine. Oh, have you ever seen or heard of Love Liza with Philip Seymour Hoffman in it? Because that is one of my favorites, but it is a downer of a movie. It is really depressing in a way that's like so atypical of like sad movies. Love Liza is hard to watch. And I don't think I would recommend that to somebody unless like, I don't know. I don't even know the prerequisite for that. It's super good. I mean, you will like it, I think. Just because I know we have similar tastes, so take that for, you know, for what it's worth. But yeah, it's. I mean, I think there's also like an element of Philip Seymour Hoffman is gone, and he's so good in that movie, and you know, it's a case of like him being kind of suicidal and turning to substance abuse to get past suicidal thoughts or maybe lean into them. So it's kind of hard for that reason too. I feel like there's a Robin Williams movie like that too. I have not seen The Whale. I love Brendan Fraser, but I don't like Darren Aronofsky. So I'm torn on that movie because I think Darren Aronofsky is so full of himself. I like The Wrestler, but he can take like Mother and shove it. I just think he's so full of it. But I love Brendan Fraser, so maybe I'll suck it up and see it because I've heard obviously nothing but good things about it. But then like sometimes I'll see a movie like that or I'll hear about it and I'll just think, "Oh, I'd rather see that as a play." Like I would rather like that to me sounds like a play. And I think maybe it was like a stage script. And I don't know, like there's something difficult for me about like I like to think about the medium that it's in and whether it translates. And I think like Like speaking of Kevin Smith, right? Like I think Kevin Smith is really he's at his best when the movies are basically like plays that he's filming. And that sounds weird because you figure like, well, it's a film, shouldn't you do something filmic with it? But I think his writing is so natural that it comes off more like a play, which I appreciate. Um, but yeah, Aronofsky just rubs me the wrong way. Yeah, he did Mother all right. Um, just a very like artsy fartsy is that term was made for that movie in a way that's like so pretentious and so full of himself. Yeah, like The Room. the classic. The classic example of everything working out for the best. Yeah, I'm thinking of like movies that aren't horror movies, that kind of fall into that category that we're talking about. Um, hmm. Yeah, sometimes I'm in the mood for like, like Love Liza fits in this category. Like sometimes I'm in the mood for like just deeply depressing. And so those aren't movies that I often recommend to people. Have I ever seen Brian and Charles? No, I don't think I've even heard of that. Sounds like a British thing, which I am all for most of the time. I love the caveat. Maybe I'd love it. Oh, I was right. British. Yeah, something about Brian and Charlie. Is that like a Is that like a? Is Rob Brydon in that? I'm thinking of something. Like I can picture a movie in my head, and I'm wondering if it's that. Super small indie movie. Maybe not then. Maybe not what I'm thinking of. But yeah, I'll check it out. I don't think so. The guy used to work on some British shows I've never seen. It's funny because that's so many of the like the British acting cohort that you'll see, you know, you'll see somebody and you'll be like, "Oh, I know I recognize them because they're in like 12 other British shows." Oh, dang. Uh-oh. Well, that's not good. That's how it always feels, is that they're just like, there's like a dozen working actors in Britain. Limmy the Scottish guy? He's a streamer, right? I haven't seen his show, but I've seen clips. Like, I've seen, if it's who I'm thinking of. I won't tell this anecdote unless it's the guy I'm thinking of. I don't know how many Limmys there are, but yeah. I've seen him, like, the clips I've seen are always, like, related to Scottish phrasing and things. Like, one of the clips I saw was, like, Scottish people can't say the phrase purple burglar alarm. That was really good. Or when he's trying to make sense of excuse me, when he's trying to make sense of what Jim Carrey said at the Game Awards, like the don't grade it in the grinder. He's like taking it seriously, trying to figure out what he meant or what his grandfather may have possibly meant by that. It's pretty good. Yeah, everything I've seen from him is very funny. Oh, really? I would not have guessed that from what I've seen. That's really funny, though. I love anything Tim and Eric adjacent. I'll eat it up. My Japan trip was full of Tim Robinson references, which is exactly how I like it. So that was pretty good. The more Tim Robinson, the better. It is the perfect show. It truly is. It's just like the kind of show where every line from it gets funnier the more you say it and the more you think about it. Like literally every line to me is funny in that show now. That's like what everybody says is and I think it's true. Like I remember I don't think I've ever laughed as hard as the the Tammy Craps sketch where like I weigh 60 lbs, you know? That I've never laughed that hard on the first watch of that. Um but then like I'll show it to people and they just think it's stupid and then it's like over time it just very quickly like stays in their brain and just repeats and repeats and repeats. I feel like it's the perfect comedy stew. Man, this Raticate. It's knocking me out. This guy's taking all my money. All right, more training. I love that skit so much. I'm not supposed to get grease on this hat. It's illegal for you to ask me that. Oh yeah, I'm power leveling this Magikarp because Gyarados is like one of the best Pokemon in these old games. The dice. Or when finally like the prosecutor or the defense attorney objects and he's just like, thank you, finally. Read the whole conversation. I love that sketch. This is a nude egg I won from my game. I'm not in trouble at all. Alright, I want this Magikarp to learn Tackle so that I can have it fight its own battles here. The Darmine Doggy Door. Safe pet, peace of mind. Thinking that's a real ad. That's like the best outcome for that sketch. Oh, I love that Magikarp emote. I got a he's kind of packed away right now, but I got from a gotcha machine a little Magikarp. You wind him up and he just flops around. It's really great. I'll bring him out next stream. So I knew I didn't like my work. Because for 30 seconds I thought there were monsters on the world. I think that at work sometimes. What do they do to us? What do they do to us? Oh, I got a Ditto too. Ditto's one of those Pokemon who I love his English name and I also love his Japanese name. It's Ditto and Metamon. They're both awesome. And they're both like perfect for what he is. Alright, I should have a rare candy. I know, monsters on the world. That's funny. So rare candy is, in Japanese, it's fushigi na ame, which basically means like weird sweet. That's funny. Or strange sweet. Nice. Alright, now, if only Magikarp could learn a move that can fight. Just keep Nidoking being the heavy hitter. I'm mad that I lost all that money. I know it's not going to matter like later in the game, but for now. I know, I wish it'd be great if I just had that TM handy. Magikarp, he's doing his best. Oh, speaking of things I watched, so when I got back from Japan, Maddie and I watched Pokemon Concierge. I think, Richard, I think you were talking about it. I thought it was really cute. It was really nice. And it was very quick. So it's like only 4, like less than 20-minute episodes. It was very cute, though. So definitely worth a watch, and I think a really like cool little experiment that the Pokemon Company did. I would love to see more stuff like that, just like different jobs in the Pokemon world and how Pokemon either enter into it or don't. I would love Gyarados with a flamethrower. Not with a flame. That would also be funny, but with flamethrower would be good. Gyarados just had a flamethrower object. That'd be pretty good. All right, Magikarp. I know it's worth it, but man, you are killing me right now. I know. I'm all for it. I say, you know, the more experimentation, the better, because every time, even if it's like not a great experiment, it usually leads to something really cool later. So I'm all for it. But yeah, I thought it was very cute. We watched it in English. It's just fun to see like a different side of the Pokemon world outside of battling and stuff. It was very cool. And I think important that they show that so that it's, you know, not one-dimensional for like the games, because obviously that's their bread and butter, but it's a whole, you know, multi-billion-dollar world they've created, so it's nice to kind of flex their muscles in different areas sometimes. Legends Curon would be cool. I want a Legends Celebi really bad. I think the Ancient Johto world would be amazing. Yeah, they like combined Yin Yang Dragon. That would be very cool. I'm up for anything, especially. I'm really excited to go back to the Indigo Disc epilogue. Um, but man, I'm just blown away by what they did in that Indigo Disc DLC. Come on, wake up, Magikarp. There we go. That would be interesting. I feel like they experiment frequently enough with things like Conquest, Pokemon Ranger, the Mystery Dungeon stuff, right? Like they definitely branch out. So why not? I mean, I think Concierge is a great example of like you can kind of do whatever you want. As long as there's Pokemon in it, you're good to go. Come on, Magikarp. Man, he really does takes a while. Oh wait. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. Can he learn Water Gun? Cuz I have that TM. Okay, cool. No, he can't. Okay. I'm just gonna say, be a real dummy if I thought, yeah, okay. Alright. I feel like that's good. I wasn't sure if he could learn that or not. Yeah, I mean, it's all but guaranteed that those are coming up next with all the hints that they've been doing. Which I'm all for. That would be really fun. I would love to play Black and White remakes on the Switch. After Black and White, right? Do Black and White. Maybe they'll surprise us and like add some Black and White 2 content into it, and then X and Y after the next main game. Oh my goodness, wake up. There we go. What level is... oh no, 16. Alright, it's still probably going to be worth it to just continue through the cave and swap out Magikarp. I would be surprised if they did that again. I feel like they got a ton of backlash for the way that the BDSP, not just how they looked, but like everything. People, I thought they were fine. I agree that the art style was weird, but you know, whatever. I think I hope that they don't do that for Black and White. I would love it if Black and White looked more like Sword and Shield, but who knows? Their development schedule is so weird. It might it may have just been like a limitation of time that they had to make it look like that to make things a little bit easier. Because I think people were expecting, like, you know, Diamond and Pearl remakes to basically look like what Arceus looked like, and, you know, obviously they were working on Arceus, so they weren't super invested in, like, doing a full revamp of Diamond and Pearl. Which, I mean, you know, you look back at the other remakes, right? Like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, Fire Red and Leaf Green, like they were definitely facelifts of those games, but they weren't like total overhauls. I guess Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire kind of were, but they were basically built on the X and Y engine, so it's not like they were being built out of whole cloth. So, I don't know. I get why they did it, but I hope that Black and White are different. Especially because Black and White, in my memory, like, from what I played briefly on stream, I feel like Black and White used, like, the 3D of the DS, like, a lot better. Not the 3DS 3D, but the, like, the different planes of dimensionality. I thought that they used it way better. It was just more interesting looking than Diamond and Pearl. Like, Diamond and Pearl, they look really good, but to me they look like kind of upscaled Game Boy Advance games, which nothing wrong with that, but Black and White feel like they really belong on the DS, whereas Diamond and Pearl, I think you could have probably scaled them down a little bit and put them on the GBA and nobody would have bat an eye. Yeah, even if they went back to like the X and Y Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire thing, I think that would be kind of cool. Because I love that style. Thought it worked really well for Pokemon. Yeah, it was a little silly. But hey, you know, they get stuck on an art style, maybe, you know, some development leads are fixated on one thing over another. So I feel like that, I mean, that's always been what people have wanted. I would argue Arceus kind of went in that direction, and I would also say the Indigo Disc DLC, like, definitely went in that direction. It was way more explicit about, like, darker themes than I feel like Pokemon usually is. Like, Kieran is nuts in that game, and it's awesome. But yeah, like the kind of like urban legend type stuff, like Drifblim, or like what they did in Fire Red and Leaf Green with Hypno, like kidnapping that kid, stuff like that is pretty cool. I worry sometimes that like maybe that'll take the mystique away from it, like it won't be as scary if we actually see it, because I think a lot of the time the fun of those like Pokedex entries is like that's all you get, you know, you don't really see stuff, or like maybe you see something spooky like a Drifblim just kind of like hanging around a kid. Stuff like that is cool. So I worry that like if we saw too much, it wouldn't be as interesting. But that's the horror fan in me. Shouldn't show the monster, right? Listen to our fight with Blue here. Oh, he's huge. Oh, wait. Okay, so Pidgey's name is Popo. Pidgeotto's name is Pojon. Pojon. Like Podgen, basically. Get him, fish. Just take Magikarp by the tail and beat Pidgeotto with it. Couldn't quite tell what that screen shaking thing was, but whatever. Well, Abra looks cool. Doesn't look as like, little. You can only use teleport, you loser. Doesn't know confusion yet. You utter fool. Fish is getting stronger. Not strong enough, but he's getting there. He did put a dent in Rat. I think it's always fun when you fight your rival and you don't even bring out your starter. Might not be the case with Nidoking's HP looking the way it is, but I think that that's always kind of a fun flex on your rival. Oh, actually, all right. You're weak, Charmander. Oh, that's one of my favorite things to do, is just call them the animal. Balloon. Ice cream. Keys. Magnet. Clam. Just looking at the ones on the sides. Ball. Spiky bird. Like the legendaries are just birds with adjectives. Flamingo. Gun. It's funny you say that because I think Haunter's name in this is just Ghost. The Japanese name is just Ghost. Which, like, you know, call a spade a spade. We're not wrong. He is a ghost. Alright, can fish beat bird? Doubtful. Uh-oh. We're gonna try. Do I have a potion? No. We're gonna give up. Fish versus bird. It's looking good for bird, I'll be honest. But then rock dinosaur comes out, we're good. Ah! Rat beat fish. I'll start putting in pools. Out of my way. I gotta heal my fish. Quick, do something. Please. My poor fish. He was bitten by a snake with a big mouth. I want him to be a Gyarados so bad. We're very nearly there. Whoa! Mankey's looking rough. I guess I don't need to heal, actually. The rat was the stopgap. I worry about that fish. When I was a kid, and I got to this bridge, so that guy at the end, when you get to him, he says, you know, he's the last one. He's gonna give you the prize, but you're so strong, like you could probably join Team Rocket and make a name for yourself. And I remember thinking I was really like scared that if I made the wrong choice, that I would end up joining the bad guys, and I didn't want that. So I remember like hitting B throughout the entire conversation, and then realizing that like he says the same thing no matter what. And I just thought, oh, okay, I was safe. Alright, he's level 18. He's getting there. 2 more. I'd really like a rare candy, honestly. Oh, Bellsprout looks so sad. Boo. Poor Bellsprout. It's just a weed with a big head. I can't tell if... I'm gonna have to take a look. Something tells me that... I can't tell if my Nidoking is obeying me or not. He should be, but I don't know if maybe that was different in the older games. He's not traded. He's not like nuts. He should listen to me. I just noticed there's like a lag. I'm not sure what that's coming from. Yeah, they're pretty great. These original sprites. It's funny that they changed them. Because, well, I say that. Some of them, I think, are kind of better looking than others. Like, to me, I think the Pikachu one in this looks a lot cooler than the one in Red and Blue. The one that we got looks really good. I mean, that's like what I think of when I think about Pikachu. But they made it... He was a little bit fatter in this original sprite, which I think is always the way to go for Pikachu. Make him fat. Whoa! Depressed plant killed my fish. Why? How could you, depressed plant? love that card. Hard to beat it. I'm so close. I would love a rare candy here, but I feel like I've already... Wait. No, I didn't. Wait. I don't think I used it. So, once I level up... No, I didn't use it. Oh, thank God. Okay. I don't have to level up twice anymore. I can just level up once and then use the rare candy. Which actually works out pretty well, given my my strategy here for cycling Pokemon, training them. Come on. Come on, Magikarp. I could easily look up how much experience he needs to get to level 19, but I'm not going to. Sad Bellsprout. Trip was awesome. Yeah, so it was kind of it was great because it was kind of like half going back to places that I had been or lived or seen, and the other half was doing new stuff. So the really cool thing that I really loved was, so we went to Kamakura, which is a place that's like an hour south of Tokyo by train. And it's famous for like a really huge Buddha statue that you can actually walk into, which was amazing. We did that, which was very cool. I didn't even know until we got there that you could do that, which was awesome. But the really cool thing that I knew about it, but I didn't know that where we were going was the thing I knew about. So I don't know if you remember the episode of Studying Pixels that I did about the origin of the Triforce, the Kamon. But that story is kind of the origin for not only the Triforce, but the Dragon Balls. And it's basically, so an ancestor of the Hojo clan went to this island and found a cave and consulted with a dragon in it. And the dragon basically granted his wishes by leaving him some scales, and the scales formed what we know to be the Triforce, which is the family symbol of the Hojo clan. And I love that story, and obviously, I did an episode about it. And we got to this place, kind of off the coast of Kamakura, called Enoshima, Eno Island, basically. And that's where that happened. Well, that's where the story happened, right? And just this beautiful place, like it's an amazing vista. Like you go down a set of stairs and you turn around, and when you turn the corner, it's this breathtaking, like, cliffside, where there are these two kind of cliffs opposite one another with the ocean just right in the middle of them, and it's so impossibly beautiful. Then you keep going down, and there are these caves that were carved out by the way that the ocean just kind of swept through this island. And you go into the caves, and there's all of these old Shinto and Buddhist statues that were brought in there because it was a place of worship. And like we went in there and we found that there's one passageway that's like, it's so cold, it's so much colder than the other passageways that it was believed that that passageway led directly to Mount Fuji. I don't think that's true, but it's a cool story. And then they have like deep within the caves, they have a dragon statue that like has thunder and lightning. And what was really cool is that at Japanese shrines, what you do at Shinto shrines, when you're praying, you go like this. So you go up to the shrine and you go like this. You clap twice, and then you bow and pray, and you ring the bell. And the idea is that you're waking up the spirit that lives there to make the prayer. And so this dragon statue that was set up, it had like, I don't know how they did it. It was like a sensor or something. But when people they would go to pray in front of it, and they would clap. And I guess it's kind of like they must have had like the clapper in it, you know, like the light switch clapper, because every time people would clap to pray, thunder and lightning sounds would play, and it was like this flashing in the cave, and it was like actually kind of terrifying. So that was, I think, the coolest thing that we just kind of stumbled into, where it was like something that I had researched and read about and didn't realize like was right there. And we just kind of walked into it, and it was one of those things where I realized kind of as we were walking to it, where I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this is the island with the dragon story. And that was awesome. So we did that. You'll appreciate this, Richard. There's so you'll know this character again from Dragon Ball Z. So in Dragon Ball Z, he's called King Yema, right? He's like the huge red guy who's at the beginning of the other world, letting the spirits in, and he's a real figure in Buddhism. He comes from Yama in not Ox King, not Chi-Chi's dad, but the like big red guy, you know, who lets Goku go on the snake way. So he's like the guardian of the underworld, and he's there. He's kind of like Anubis, like he's a judge. When you get to hell, he basically decides whether or not you belong there. So we went to this one shrine, and I picked it because I knew that there was a statue of him, and I really wanted to see it because I wanted to see how scary they made him. So we get to the shrine, and it's kind of like, it's a weird kind of shrine because it's just like almost like an open parking lot, and like on the left-hand side, I'll turn the music back on for this. On the left-hand side, there's a Buddhist temple, and then on the right-hand side, there's a statue of a Buddhist figure, and then to the left of the statue is this shrine, and there's a sign outside of it that says that's where King Emma is, right? King Enma. And I was going up to it, and it was this big shrine. Like it was, I don't know, like 15 feet tall, probably like 30 feet wide. It was pretty big, and it was like pitch black inside of it, and I couldn't get a good look. And I was really frustrated because I wanted to see this statue of King Enma so bad. And then I realized that there's a light switch. There's a switch on the front of the shrine, and it says, like, please press this in Japanese. So I press it, and I swear, I thought this was only something that happened in movies. Floodlights came on in the shrine, and it made like a ka-chunk sound, like a breaker being flipped. And there he was. He was like 30 feet tall. He was looking directly at me. It was this horrifying, like, you know, basically demonic sculpture of the King of Hell. And I just got this, it scared me because of the sound, and then just like, you know, there he is. Because it was really like pitch black in the middle of the day. Like you couldn't see in at all. I don't know how they did it. But yeah, it was amazing and horrifying. And I just thought, like, I had this great idea for this story I'm writing, where like I had this realization that really freaked me out, which was I was looking so intently into the shrine and trying to see him, and the entire time I was looking and trying to kind of like squint and get a glimpse, he was just staring directly at me. And I just like, it just gives me goosebumps like thinking about that, you know. So that was awesome too. That was another thing we kind of stumbled onto, kind of like half knowing what was going on, and it was a real treat. The Grave of Christ. No, is that... I assume you mean a movie and not like a place. But I haven't seen either. Oh, Gyarados looks so cool. His sprite looks awesome in this. I mean, it looks awesome in the other games, but it's very cool in this too. Oh, is it a place like where the hidden Christians were? Like that kind of thing? Christ faked his death in hidden Japan, leaving his brother to hang on the cross. I've never heard that. That sounds amazing. I bet that was a story that the hidden Christians came up with in Japan, like to legitimize Christianity in Japan. So it's like, now I'm just thinking, like, it's kind of like a Mormon story. Like, hey, you didn't know this, but he actually showed up here. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that, Richard. That's really cool. The hidden Christians, such an interesting history in, like, Nagasaki. Just, you know. Oh! Oh, no! They never got that sprite right. He's perfect. Oh. I love him. Oh, A+. Well done. He has to go away now. Man. That really took me by surprise. I love it. Oh, what was I saying? Oh, the hidden Christians. Not nearly as interesting as the Machop sprite in Pokemon Green, but so there were these Portuguese, I believe, missionaries who came and, you know, spread the word of Christ in Japan. And during the Tokugawa period, when there was isolationism, you know, it was very illegal to be Christian because it was seen as bringing the West into Japan, which was a no-no back then. They didn't really open their doors to anything Western officially until the Meiji Restoration in 1868, when Commodore Matthew Perry, seriously, Matthew Perry, could he be any more American, came to America and basically opened the doors and started a... oh, Slowpoke looks pretty good, too. Started a chain reaction that opened the doors to Japan and got them, like, industrialized and basically led to a resurgence of imperialism, but that's a story for another day. But these Christians, before that all happened, they were often... I mean, they were definitely ostracized, but they were often executed if they didn't renounce Christianity. There's a movie with Adam Driver in it that was about that, and it was very good. It was a very good movie. I can't remember the name of it, but it was very good. It was pretty historically accurate. And Jesus swapped places with to hang on the cross instead was named Isukiri. Isukiri. Which is great because what a truly Middle Eastern name. Yeah, right. I will. I'll have to take a look into that. I wonder where that was. I wonder if it was in Nagasaki, because that would make sense. That would make the most sense to me, but maybe it's somewhere else. If you want a good look into actually, like, one of the things that, I mean, video games, of course, Spirited Away, all of these things got me very interested in Japan and Japanese culture, which is what I contribute my study to, but the thing that really got me into the Tokugawa period, especially, and particularly the very tail end of it when it was coming to a close, was the anime Samurai Champloo, which is actually where I get my stream name from, Mugen. He's my favorite character from any anime. And that show is about kind of the turn of the Tokugawa period into the Meiji Restoration, and about samurai and ronin and, people kind of not having a place as that was changing. And very interestingly, without spoiling anything, because it's not really a spoiler, it just kind of becomes the plot, it becomes about hidden Christians. And it's a very special story at the end of it, namely kind of what we do to retain our individuality in the face of really harsh circumstances. It's my favorite anime, definitely. I watch it I watch it every year just to kind of engage with it, and it's one of those that I have no problem recommending to everybody. So if you haven't seen it, Samurai Champloo, done by the same director who did Cowboy Bebop. And I think this is probably, I know this is like anime heresy, but I think it's better than Cowboy Bebop. I love Cowboy Bebop. I have nothing but good things to say about it. But personally, I prefer Samurai Champloo just because it means a lot to me. And the music is by Nujabes, which is, for my money, the greatest musician who ever lived. Oh, you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop? That's like rightfully the like first anime I recommend to people if they don't like anime or if they haven't seen it. So since I know you've engaged with Japanese stuff, like you'll really like Cowboy Bebop, I bet. It's pretty amazing. Then there's his sophomore. Well, no, not his sophomore slump because it's his third thing. His junior slump, I guess, which I still really like. Space Dandy, which is basically Elvis in space, and you kind of can't beat it. So it's a much different tone than Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, but it's a lot of fun. All right, so here's my plan. I am going to beat Misty. I think her name is Mizumi, maybe? I'm going to beat her, and then I'm going to call it and maybe get some breakfast and try to do a little relaxing before... Not that this isn't relaxing, but do a little screenless relaxing before I go to work. Kasumi, that's her name. It's funny, Richard, because I actually feel very similarly. You'd think like I would be a total weeb, but I'm not. I've seen a fair few. I've definitely seen more than 5, but I can count the ones I really love on one hand, and I think like all told, I don't know, I've probably seen like conservatively, I've probably seen like 30 anime altogether, which sounds very low, but I always like. I only have like room in my heart for one super long running one, and that's DBZ. Always, like, Dragon Ball will always be the shonen one that I like. JoJo kind of fits into that, but it's split up in parts, so it doesn't feel that way. It's also not nearly as long as Dragon Ball. But yeah, Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, Gurren Lagann, Fulikuli, the first one. I haven't seen the what is it called? Fulikuli Progressive. Like, I haven't seen the new ones. And I've heard conflicting things, which actually makes me interested to see it because I love Fulikuli so much. But yeah, Fulikuli's great. I really like. Death Note. I love the anime and the manga. Attack on Titan. I really like anime that are finite, that have like, I used to say like 27 episodes is the sweet spot for an anime series. Oh, you got to share with the class. What is Clavipus? what's his deal? Full Metal Alchemist also great. Yep. Love Full Metal Alchemist. Brotherhood is fantastic. It's about as smart as a 3-year. Aw. We're being really mean to Clavipus. I feel like he's smarter than a 3-year-old. He's an octopus. They're wicked smart. Years ago, but never got. I don't know if you watched Brotherhood or not, but that's a good one to watch. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, because it like takes all of the fluff out of it, and it's very streamlined. So that's probably the best way to watch that one. It's also great. Like Brotherhood is fantastic, and the original is really good too. It kind of did its own thing, which was interesting, but I kind of like when anime veer away from the manga like that, if done well. Fully Cooley is great because Fully Cooley is basically like a movie. It's you figure it's 6 episodes. They're about 24 minutes each, so it's like a 2.5-hour movie. I think I really like. There he is. Yeah, I love that sprite. That's the Pikachu in my heart. I love him. Now he must go. Sorry, Pikachu. Yeah, Fully Cooley's great. What else? He is handsome. He's like ready for a night on the town. It's like that meme of that cat where it's like pets aren't allowed. It's like, okay, I'll make an exception because he looks very polite. That's Pikachu in this game. Oh. No. Damn, Butterfree. This is a great story, and it's like 12 episodes. It's on Netflix. It's called, the English name is Erased, and the Japanese name is The Town Without Me. It is genuinely one of the most touching, horrific, thrilling stories. You'll be hooked from start to finish. I don't know if you've heard of it or if you've maybe seen it, like on the Netflix queue, but man, like Erased is an amazing story, and you got to check it out. Here's the hook, right? So I'll kind of give you the hook of the first episode. The main character has this ability. He lives a very ordinary life. Like he's just a guy living in Tokyo, I'm pretty sure. Like he's just like a pizza delivery guy. He has nothing special about him, about his life anyway. But he has this ability where I think he calls it like rewind or something like that. But basically, he'll get this moment where it's kind of like deja vu, and he'll see something terrible happen, and then he'll have enough time to fix it. So this will happen sometimes, like it'll just kind of pop up. Like I think the inciting incident is he sees like a car accident. And he sees a car accident because a truck driver is like asleep. So he comes out of his reverie. It's kind of like That's So Raven, weirdly. So he comes out of his reverie and he like wakes up the truck driver and he avoids the accident, right? So really cool premise. And he basically says like, I always end up going back like a few minutes and realizing that there's something I have to change to kind of help somebody. So he kind of sees it as like a burden to himself. So he just kind of begrudgingly does it. But what's so cool is that he is kind of his mom comes to visit him, and his mom is saying that, hey, do you remember when you were a kid, there was that girl who was kidnapped, and she went missing, and like no one ever figured out what happened to her? And he's like, vaguely, yeah, I kind of do. I mean, I was really young. And she says, well, I'm here because I actually have a lead, and I think that there's something that I can do to figure out what happened. So he's like, all right, whatever, Mom. And he leaves, and when he comes back, she's been killed. She's been stabbed. And he kind of assumes that, whoever did it is who she was looking for, and maybe who has this connection to the mysterious disappearance of the girl. So he goes out of his apartment. The police are there. They've been called. And he realizes that he's been framed for the murder of his mother. And so he runs away. And as he's running away, his ability kicks in. And instead of going back a few minutes, he goes back to when he was like 10 years old. And he has the mind that he does as an adult. And he realizes that to save his mom, he has to figure out how this girl went missing and see if he can figure out how to stop it. And it is so gripping and compelling, and man, it's awesome. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like they don't bungle the premise at all. Like it's such a perfect resolution. It's truly one of the creepier things I've ever seen. There's a moment in it that I won't explain what happens, but it's one of those moments where it's like, it reminds me honestly of like the best creepypastas, where I know, like, Richard, you've read like the like Baraska and all the stuff written by that writer. I think you have anyway. But like okay, do you remember, I can't remember the name of the story, but the premise of the story is they like an older brother and a younger brother. I think maybe it's an older sister and a younger brother. It's like an older sibling and a younger sibling. They go out and they're like going sledding, and the younger sibling basically gets pulled in the undercurrent of a river, and the older sibling assumes that like it was their fault that the kid died, and like they kind of had to get over it, and it was this thing that broke up the family. And then like they go back to that river, and then they see that the sibling basically lived after they were pulled out into the river, and they were just like stranded on on like an embankment, and they find like his skeleton and like his clothes, and it's just like this awful realization that the older sibling could have saved him. Like it wasn't hopeless, and he just died alone and cold. Like that kind of feeling of like that pit in your stomach of the realization of something so dreadful. There's something in Erased that doesn't have any attention drawn to it. But it is a moment like that I still think about like on occasion. And it's pretty great. And yeah, I think the cool thing about the time stuff, it's so secondary to the plot. Like it's really just the inciting incident. Like everything else is this mystery. And it's kind of set up like a video game, because the kid like loved Dragon Quest, and he's explaining to his friends that like they're basically playing a game and he needs their help. So it's just it's awesome. So I watched it all in one night. Again, it was like a really long movie. I think like all told probably take you like 3.5, 4 hours. So worth it. Just awesome. But yeah, have you read Baraska? Like the greatest creepypasta ever written. Oh, Okay, I'm not even going to say anything about it. If you find a video on YouTube, like if you're working, find like somebody narrating it. I think it's like 3 hours or something. Only monster trucks and skateboarding. Rad. Baraska is worth your time. You will get a lot out of it. And yeah, the author, like that's her longest story, but all of her other stories are so good. Baraska's the best one, but man, just a real talent for like. None of her stories are like typical creepypasta, like a big pale thing came out of the ground and ate me or something. Like, they're all very real and grounded and really chilling because they just have such a root in like actual real dreadful fears. It's pretty amazing. And the last thing I'll say, the author, I think her name is C.K. Walker. She actually, I just found this out because of Meat Canyon. She worked on The Haunting of Hill House with Mike Flanagan. Like, she wrote it. She co-wrote it with him and the other writers. So, pretty cool pedigree there. All right. I'm going to wrap things up. Yeah, it's definitely worth your time if you're looking for a good not just a good creepypasta, but like the good creepypasta. Definitely worth it. The Pinocchio animation by Studio A. I don't know by that name. Maybe? Let me look it up. Let me see. Studio A. That's not the GDT one, is it? Studio A? That's what I'm getting. Because I've definitely seen that. Johnny Crickets. That sounds familiar. Johnny Crickets. A Studio Digital. I'll have to check it out. I have not seen that. Johnny Crickets is a funny it's a funny name. Johnny Crickets. All right. Well, on that note, made some fun headway. Saw a lot of fun sprites. I think I'm going to do this until I'm feeling a little better, jet lag wise. But I'm really pleased that I found this. Like I said, I'm going to actually show this off again just because it's so cool. So, very happy with this. I think altogether it was probably like $80 American, which, I mean, pretty amazing deal for the box with the guide in it, or the manual and the town map, and just a really cool piece of Pokemon history that I actually get to play on this great little retro freak console. So, well, thanks for hanging out with me while I was coming back and trying to put away the jet lag. I'm hoping that tonight will be a normal night, but we will see. I think I might just. I'm wondering about scheduling for streaming. I may try to be more regular like next week, but I was kind of thinking like I might just hop on and play whatever I'm playing. So, I was thinking of going back to like Octopath Traveler 1, playing these Pokemon games. Like, I have this idea that I want to get a Pokemon from Pokemon Blue and bring it all the way to Pokemon Violet through like playing all the different games. So I want to see how logistically I can do that. I have everything that I need for it. Like I have Game Boys and link cables and things like that. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, and I think that would be really fun. Got the idea from a tweet basically saying somebody who had a Pokemon that they kind of carried over since Diamond, which is very cool. So figured Blue is my first game, so try to get somebody to come over from there. Maybe I'll get my Gengar, and I think that would be really cool to have, like, Gengar from the original game. So, well, awesome. Well, have a good night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. I'm also going to try to get these VODs up on my YouTube channel. I did something a little different, so I recorded this one outside of the stream. So I'm going to put those up. I figure start banking those and, just kind of come up with a library so that those are available for people who missed the stream or who want to catch up or who, for whatever reason, want to hear me talk about stuff. It's fun to do it. So hopefully it's fun to listen to, but good talking to you, Richard. Good talking to you, Random. And I will see you next time.